with the mission to keep as many men on as many guns for as long as possible. We called him Doc. Welcome to Combat Vet Vision. And now your host, Aaron Chief Seabird.
How's everybody doing? Hey, it's good to have a show. It's good to have a show. This is Combat Vet Vision. This is a place where I really get to talk about a lot of things that are going on in our combat vets' lives. And you know what? A lot of combat vets get on here and they get to tell their story too. Our sponsors, supporters, volunteers. Great shout out to sitchradio.com. Brian Colburn, who runs, markets, puts my show together and makes it happen. And he also puts another show together, which I'm lucky enough to have Poncho on deck today from the Field Op. The Field Op is another great podcast that kind of captures a lot of different avenues and different ways. And welcome to the show, brother. Appreciate having you.
Yacht, hoorah,
Francisco Correa, Poncho Carrera. Poncho, how you doing, brother? Good to have you.
What's going on, brother? Just right here, healing up from in major knee replacement. Hoorah!
Yeah. Yeah, major knee replacement. Hey, just to give some context, the podcast, Brian Colburn really spun us off, and he had me, push me in this direction, and then, I had Poncho come on my podcast, and he had like a lot of really cool ideas, and he started his podcast, and it takes a little bit of effort and a lot of time and things to put together, and luckily my wife does my graphics and did his complete graphic, like his show, the Field Op, build that field desk, digitalized it, put it together, and it's really cool, man. I really dig your emblem and the spirit that you bring to the table, brother. So, we got a lot of really cool things to talk about today. Some feedback as to how your podcast is doing. We're going to get into some veteran stuff, some other things, just a montage of just random cool combat stuff or vet stuff in general too. I mean, I know the focus is on combat vets, but in all reality, there's a lot of vets that are going to benefit from a lot of the shows that I put out, as well as Poncho. So yeah, go ahead, Poncho. How you doing?
No, brother. I mean, it's first off, thank you for your service. Thank you, Brian Colburn, for your service and what you do for us. Right here on the back end, I mean, Brian and the folks at sitchradio.com, and I mean, they are the backbone of what we do and these shows and putting out these platforms for veterans and service members wouldn't be here with with what they do on the background. So shout out to them, like you said earlier. But it is great. It's always a pleasure to be here and get to talk with you and just like for those folks who are newly joined your show. Yeah, that this is where I got started. I mean, I came on your show to talk about uh, the serious
You
things that I was going through, which I think we just learn to manage and go through it as and with the coping mechanisms. Thank you for Warrior Built, PTSD Foundation of America, and you leading those groups and giving me some of the additional, I guess, coping mechanisms um, to be here today. But yeah, we started out I just remember way back when we're like, dude, we should have a show where we just get to talk mundane shit about nothing, like when we used to go to the field, and blah blah blah, and and I know you were, you were, I mean, you were always very spread thin with putting yourself out there, helping us out. And I know it was just, time management thing in the sense that, hey, can I squeeze in this other thing? So, but it was thanks to Brian and getting your blessing, so to speak, to have this show. And I just went over my 101st show, bro. I never thought that it all started out with this, just this idea of me talking shit over a microphone on this Amazon purchase studio. So to speak.
Hey
And
man, that's the way it goes. Amazon purchased. Yeah, I got the components, man. Uh,
you know
it, yeah, it is amazing that we came together. Obviously, when you talk about the the PTSD groups from the PTSD Foundation of America that we had at the Warrior Built facility. We still have them at the Warrior Built facility every Tuesday, but we got a lot of you and I and a lot of the guys now have a lot of post traumatic growth behind them. Guys that are really moving ahead and hopefully finding out that a lot of these things that we had problems with might be in our past, but we're still dealing with a lot of the side effects. But we're now finding our niche in life, and hopefully, better equipped and better managing our civilian sector of where we got to put our foot every day. And
Yeah.
so it's just kind of a,
No, and I think navigating and finding our way as to that post service purpose is really important, because I think that's what a lot of us struggle with. Is it's kind of like that Spartan, and I always compare it to the movie 300 in that last final scene when Leonidas, he's standing there, and I forgot the guy's name, narrating. He goes, his shield gets heavy, and so Leonidas drops the shield, and he goes, and then as he gets to throw the lance, because obviously he was off balance, he misses Xerxes and cuts him on the cheek. So we struggle as veterans, because we went for however many years associating ourselves in the Marine Corps, and as and you being an honorary Marine, in the sense that, hey, you serve in the green side, is the fucking every Marine is a basic rifleman. Every Spartan is shield and spear, so to speak. So we go around eating and drinking that every day, and then post service, you know, you turn in your weapons card, you turn in your uniform, so to speak. You go to SIF, done. So what is my purpose post service? And so finding something that you found it through Warrior Build Foundation, as well as your Combat Vet Vision podcast, and being a leader and a guide through the PTSD Foundation of America, helping us veterans, uh, through our struggles. Whereas I'm finding my way through. I thought I wanted to be a safety person, and we talked about this in your show, and I help veterans get into the industry and stuff. But life changes, and it's all about being able to progress. And so I'm finding all the things that are now calling me to do many things, but finding that purpose, to sum up what you said earlier, is important, because when you don't have a purpose, when we don't have something, that spark, that's when we go downhill from there.
Yeah, and it and it goes into, like you said, man, you were doing safety, and you've been doing safety for a long time, man. Even from the time I met you to you got out, you got into safety, and you had a big uh, bunch of pathways for guys that maybe wanted to get into that.
Yeah.
But you also need to find your pace, and so sometimes is it time to slow your pace down, pick something else to do. And I think that's what you're talking about, getting into a little bit different so you still can have time with your family, your friends, you know, your homes, because I mean, where do you call home exactly? Because California is kind of like you got a fingertip in there. Texas and Florida, dude, that's a huge span. It's like, hey, I don't want to give up my cheap rental place that another veteran's hooking you up with, to a great place that you have in Texas, to I have to be here in Florida, so this is where I live, kind of place. So
No, and
that's
it's
a cool
it's
thing. Your
no,
pace is out of control.
and it's this is a really good conversation that we're having, because you're right. Um, we have a lot of distractions in life, uh, and to tie it into your podcast and how we help out veterans in PTSD related, we tend to overwork ourselves, and hit every, and even as service members, it's, hey, 110%, you got to give it 110%, and balls to the wall. It's all about the mission. And so when I first got out of the service, yeah, I had a somewhat of a nervous breakdown, and I almost committed suicide along the way. And that's what led me to the intensive outpatient program in Camp Pendleton. But And then it's not, and you think, okay, I'm good, I'm on meds, fucking, and you go through those highs and lows. So I'm gonna do the safety thing, and I'm getting all these certs, and I'm a million miles an hour, and whatever. And don't get me wrong, the safety industry has been great. It's been a vehicle that's provided for me post service, and I've done pretty well at it, and to a point. And I'm not saying I'm the safety guy, but people know me and people come to me, whatever. However, those are all distractions, because at the end of the day, if you don't address what's in here, and like, to what you said earlier, is slow it down and be able to, hey, you're going a million miles an hour, and you're living in all these places, but those underlying issues, if we're not addressing them, there, you just eventually we're going to catch up to you. You know what I'm saying? So along the way, yeah, they've my demons have caught up. But talking to you, um, and having a good support network, it has been very helpful. And you're right. Yeah, I think I've come to a place where I'm, now that I've somewhat found my feet, so to speak. I'm looking for a purpose where I want to. Uh, I don't think I'll ever have a home, because one of the great things, and I just had a guest, and John Davis, and this guy's a veteran. He's traveling around the world, kind of like finding these infrastructures um, of support, both from the VA and TRICARE side, and being expat friendly for military. But for me, it was, being able to go work in the Middle East was one was it removed a lot of anchors that we mentally put on ourselves, that, oh, my house, well, this, what I do with that. And shit, you yourself are an expat yourself, dog. So I know it's easier for us now to get back into that groove. Okay, I'm 2 years in this command, 2 3 years. Well, where am I going to PCS to in the next one? So yeah, I am slowing down in the pace, whereas I don't want to be in the rat race of the 9 to 5, and be able to slow down on that aspect, so that I can get back to what brought me a lot of meaning. It was connecting veterans with one another, or hey, if somebody needs help, connecting with you. Hey, dog, what resources do you have here in Florida for this cat that I got over here? And what that right there is what brings me a lot of joy. So on that aspect, I'm working towards things and leveraging what I have to be able to do that once again, and as well as, I don't know, maybe start traveling around the world, that type of thing. I don't think I'll have a permanent HQ, so to speak. you know.
No, I get it. And this knee replacement. I mean, you gotta put a lot of effort into like healing before you can start wheeling again, you know? Man, it's like,
Bro.
one of the things that I think about is your life has got to be fluid. You have to be able to pull back
Yeah,
and take care of you for a moment, right?
yeah,
But then you also want to still be able to do enough work to where it's satisfying, enough time to spend with the family, and enough time to get out and do something that's cool and talk about managing that and keeping your mind straight so you're not like so spun up that you can't function in society. So I like to think of it as very fluid work, very fluid operations. I like to be available for our vets, but at the same time, I need to be available for me. And I also need to be available for the family and different things like that. So if you could do that anywhere on the planet, you're doing good. And that
yeah.
hopefully that knee gets you running here again. Just joke. Maybe not that much, but
you know, I was trying to put off, the whole surgery thing, because we go. Obviously, this is a totally. I've had multiple knee surgeries. I've had 5 knee surgeries between both of them, and meniscus, blah blah blah. But a major knee replacement, total knee replacement, is it's just a different uh, ball ball game for me. And I knew counterparts that have had them, and they're like, "Dude, you just wait as long as you can." And then I close family members who have had one, and my best friend's mom, Ken, and she's known me since I was a kid in high school, and she's from the South, but she's like, honey, and if you could think that Southern comfort type of accent. Honey, you just get to go. You don't want to wait to be my age and get it up. And I was like, you know what? Do I wait now or do I wait until I'm in my later stages in life? And what is it? I mean, which one is better? I'm telling you that right now. The fucking pain is brutal. I mean, I never felt so much alive with this knee pain. So I can't even imagine being in my 80s, 70s, and 80s going through this process. I mean, it's fucking brutal, dude. And my kid's grandfather went through this in his late 80s. And shout out, may he rest in peace. Shout out to Joe Royce. But it's so. I guess I'm not even a week out of having this done, and right now I took an oxy a couple hours ago, so I'm fucking right now. But I mean, it's tough, and it's that whole thing. Hey, work hard, play hard. I mean, when I was in the Marine Corps, I was that one guy of few that every time we had, even when we had a mock PFT, I was that guy that still went all out just to see where I'm at. And by the way, to the audience, I mean, I was not a fucking gazelle. That used to 18-minute mile type of guy. I mean, I was in the 20s. I mean, best time ever was like 21:30. I didn't even get the whole 285, certificate, blah blah. I got close, but nonetheless, I just didn't. I always, gave it 110%. Because I just didn't want to, to my standard. Hey, I always gotta, even as a lance corporal and whatever. So, work hard, play hard. I mean, and this is what it led to, man, cumulative trauma, so to speak. Fuck it, I'll do it all over again. I mean, because I always left it out on the field, So,
All right. Good stuff, man. I mean, when you think about all the things that you did before, now the things that you can do or the things that you want to do, it's I was like reflecting back to running my PFAs. We used to call them PFTs or PRTs.
yeah, PRT, yeah.
My confusion in the Navy is that I spent so much time in the Marine Corps, I can't really get the acronyms down all the time right. Because so people
Would you
might be
say you were in the
confused.
Marine? What your time in the
He's an
Corps?
honorary Marine Corps. Honorary Marine, how does that work out? Well, because I got more time in the Marine Corps than a lot of Marines, but we won't talk about that. Because as a
it's
corps,
pretty fucked up when the
yeah,
corpsman runs right by you like, holy fuck, who was that? Yo, that's our
hey,
doc.
man, I was a big guy, and when I finally got with the mid team, they had to run their 3 miles, and I had to run my mile and a half, right? So what happened was the 10 of us, all Marines, and you got one corpsman, me, and I decided to sprint off the line, man. Well, I'm running at the same time, but I only have to run to the halfway mark, right? They gotta come back to the thing. So I sprinted, but I'm like a big guy, but I felt good about it because the mission was to go over there and do this thing with the Iraqis and help them take over their country.
Yeah,
So it was like the PFT that we were doing right before we left. And so it just had a different purpose in my whole career. Because the rest of the career, it seemed like I guess a couple times, like when we went in 2003, went into Iraq, that was that was an important one. But I just felt like this one was more important because we're a 10-man team going into this whole environment to do all this. So yeah, I tried it a little bit harder, a little bit crazier, and I just wanted it to feel different. So I was just reflecting on that when you were talking about all this stuff, man. It's pretty cool to listen to you talk about it a little bit, And that's that field op stuff, you bring out the field op in everybody to talk about some field op stuff, and that's just one of those things. And it was right down by Yacht Yaz, and right on the water there. It has a kind of a cool square,
yeah.
ocean on both sides. The LAVs jumping in the water and shit.
Hoorah,
Good
Delmar.
times.
Shout out to the
Shout out to Delmar, yeah,
to
Camp
the
Pendleton.
trackers. Fucking guys. I remember, do you
Good
remember
times.
what was the E Club that was, this is back in the day.
Back in the
Delmar
day,
E
yeah,
Club. Remember Delmar E
it
Club?
was all the way down at the end, like almost to the swamps.
Yeah.
before they
We're so
shut that down.
embarrassed
Yeah.
now. Yeah, but I don't know about you, but in these surgeries, obviously, somebody told me last week, I'm like, hey, the next couple of weeks, it's gonna be all a mind game. Um, and it is. It's been, I mean, I've gone through some serious emotions the last. I mean, as I'm doing my own self physical therapy here in my living room. I mean, I've cried. I mean, it's all, hey, you can do this. You fucking got this. Don't. I mean, hell, don't be a little bitch. All this other. You know what I'm saying? But I've also thought of my life. It's like, dude, I mean, I recently turned 50. Um, and it wasn't until I guess maybe even before where I just noticed I'm like, damn, even the tone of my voice, you start noticing as we age. I don't know about you, but I've noticed like, hey, my voice is not as crisp as as that hoorah or whatever. I mean, my body, even though mentally, I think in my mind, I'm like, man, I still got this shit. My body's like, hey, dog, let me, whoa, easy there, heart. You know what I'm saying? So it's just coming to terms as to, hey, this next stage in life, and how is it that I can, be still, that hoorah, get some type of individual with, coming into terms with some of the things that my body I may not be able to accomplish like I used to when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, I just had a conversation with myself this week about that. A matter of fact, I was
how'd,
actually.
how'd that go?
It was like, hey man, do you remember when you were a kid? And you were always wondering why the older people had problems walking, because you never experienced this like lack of energy, lack of like, and being hit with a mortar round didn't help at all. I mean,
Yeah,
I
well,
got
no
like a
shit.
never-ending Charlie horse in my right thigh. I got a hernia I got to push in all the time. I mean, there's a lot of weird things that happens as we're getting older, man. That I can relate to. It's like, hey man, I wish I could just go and just do stuff like I was when you're young. You don't even have to stretch, man. Stretching's like optional. It's not optional when you're old, man. I took a walk. I walked down the street. I was like, man, I gotta go to the store, but my ankles were killing me. I was glad that the street light stopped me. So walking across the street, so I had some time to stretch, man. I'm like doing stretches, where other people maybe aren't. They're probably looking at me like, dude, why does this guy have to stretch right here? And it's because just to be functional, sometimes you gotta change it up a little. My ankle's like, hey man, it's cold out. We don't really want to work that great for you. So now I'm like kicking it out and like making it kick, and I'm like, I hope this works.
No, and I compare myself to the old an old Motor T diesel truck. The old 800 and 900 5 tons that were diesel that you had to let them warm up for a little bit. I mean, great piece of gear. I mean, even to this day, hands down. I mean, MTVRs are great, and no disrespect to that, the new equipment is fantastic piece of gear. However, I'm that old 900 that you're right. I have to let it warm up. I have to do a bunch of let it idle for a little bit, so that way it can do it. I got a lot of torque. I'll tell you that. There's a lot of torque behind this fucking piece of gear, and I got power. But you gotta, I'm not able to keep up with the MTVRs and the new piece of gear. But you're right. When I was in Japan, we in September we went there. Obviously, my wife's husband had passed away due to cancer. So, but we were, after that we were seeing the sightseeing, whatever. And you're right, dude. I mean, my knees were fucking killing me, and physically, yo, I can walk. I can walk. I mean, I may not be able to run, but I can do it. But just so every once in a while, I have to, I would have to take that big, what do you call it? That big swallow that big pill of what is it called? Pride? No, basic humbleness. And I'm
Humbleness,
like, hey, babe,
humble
yeah,
pie.
yeah, humble pie. And I was like, hey, babe, I gotta sit down for a little bit. My knees are screaming right now, and I was just like, fuck. To the point where I even, I kind of got a little bit sentimental when I was there. I was like, fuck, this sucks, dude. Here I am. I'm, I don't think 50 is old. here I am, in my prime physically. I'm good to go. I can still do pull-ups. I can do. However, it's just, here I am in my knees having to take a sit down, a combat knee, so to speak, because of what So, and that was kind of what led. I'm like, fuck it. You know what? This is a good thing that hopefully this knee replacement will uh will come what
For
will
you.
bring me back to about 80%.
It'll it'll bring you down it'll bring you up a couple notches so you're ready to go. Yeah.
Like, oh fuck. So,
Uh,
yeah, man.
that's good. That's good stuff. And talk about some of these cool opportunities that you've been obviously understanding. I mean, obviously there's when you talk about opportunities, and I want to talk about a little bit about these are opportunities that you as an individual need to determine whether or not it's time for you to take, you feel like you want to take, or you should take, but don't feel like you shouldn't do it because uh, you think it's for the other guy. It's re-
Right.
it's better that you get involved in it because you need it. You feel like you're going to use it, and it's going to be beneficial to your life down the road. And not all these opportunities are, but I know I know whether it's getting on social security disability, whether it's getting your benefits, going to the VA and going from 90 95, which puts you at 90, to get into that 100. um, these are things that you really need to sit down with yourself and say, hey, do I really want to do that? But don't hold yourself back because you're feeling guilty about it. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you're taking care of those things. And I know you've got some really great opportunities. You've already shared with me pathways that you've taken that I probably need to get on at some point, and I'll end up following back up with you when I'm ready. And this is why these shows are good, because they create resources and abilities for that. And so, if you want to talk a little bit about
Yeah.
those things, whether it's job opportunities, because Pancho's getting into some really cool stuff too.
No,
To
and
VA,
you're right. A lot of veterans. I can tell you one. My not, I don't want to put him on the spot, but he's been on my show a couple of times. I mean, him and I have grown since we were kids together. We went into the Corps together, and it took me a while to convince him. Says, hey, dude, you served in the military. This is not just for people who did 20 years or more than just one term. These are things benefits that you rate and that you've earned every bit of it, because at the end of the day, the military, doesn't matter what branch, the government's going to get this pound of flesh out of you. They're going to get their money's worth. So you definitely should go out there and take advantage of the PAC Act, and register in those other things like the burn registry. Get also plugged in with all the other things, all the other benefits that are out there as a veteran to take advantage of. So I'll start out. I'll lead with that. Um, and currently, I do have. I do have mobility issues, and a lot of things that right now people see. Doing these shows, and man, we were talking about this with somebody else. I should have made a show out of it, but we carry around these things all the time, and we do these shows, and right now we seem like, oh, we're having a great time, but that's what people see, and that's what we allow them to see, but they don't know your struggles, Aaron. What is that you're struggling with. I'm sure that being in where you're at right now in Poland, and you guys having to leave your home because of what's going on in Ukraine and so on and so. I know those are some triggers. For me, I got other things going on. I got my niece. I'm in my so, and then people share whatever it is in social media, but they don't know what we struggle with at the end of the day, or anybody as a whole, for that matter. So, um, I am in the process of applying for some other programs through the VA, because my wife does take care of me. I mean, I hate to admit it, but they're more than often. She helps me put on my clothes. Um, you know, I do have mobility issues, or even when I'm in my head where I just don't want to, get up out of bed. God bless her for it. She's like, "Hey, come on, you can do this. Come on." She'll drive me to work, whatever have you. So yeah, definitely need to take advantage of whatever programs are out there as a veteran, or that it's being offered, and you're not mooching. Now, if I'm a little biased because you and me serve, and most of our audience have were in the service. So, hey, if you're a veteran and you did your time, hey, you fucking deserve this. You earned this. Now, I'll be if you were just a lazy piece of shit that, hey, I'm just gonna scam out, then I would obviously have different opinion about it. But take advantage of whatever it is that the FDA and other things offer. But yeah, I also have had, and helped out veterans, and I still do get into different industries. If you go on my LinkedIn, I've posted jobs on the safety side, and I'll connect them with other folks. And you're right, I do get involved first in these things because I'm not going to do something and back something that, one, as a service member, um, I don't want, the last thing I want to do is do something that will go against my morals, uh, in the whole esprit de corps of the Marine Corps and such. So, but yeah, I'm in the process right now. I'm in an industry where I help people with their finances, and preparing themselves not only for their future and for their kids, and protecting what they have. But the great thing about it is that these are state licenses that are paid for by our company, and that anybody can use. One thing that, uh, somebody who I no longer talk to, they said, "Hey, have as many licenses as you can because you never know when you use them." And I've maintained that mentality. I've taught motorcycle safety. I've done safety classes, blah blah blah, and that's always been a resource of an income. And this is in this field, for anybody transitioning out of the service, or if you're the lance corporal or sergeant struggling financially, having these state licenses and being able to generate a couple of, $500-600 a month, or even more than that. I mean, yeah, we definitely. And I'll keep providing always, veterans, where, or service members, whether it's in this venue or different. I'm that guy that likes to make those connections. I mean, you've known me for a couple of years now, where, hey, talk to this dude, this would be a great guest on your show, and you've done the same for me, so.
Yeah, sometimes I've been so busy. I got to follow up on some of the ones you've given me too and talk to me about. So, and I don't work my show until Sunday or Monday morning sometimes. And I mean, I need to get it to where I'm like three shows ahead. But I will, I will bring this up because it's something that's really cool that you kind of brought to the forefront, is like, I really try, and like you said, we try to show that we're doing these things, but we're still dealing with a lot of things in between. I know, every day I deal with waking up and having a conversation with my body saying, hey,
Yeah.
let's try to do it. Let's do some movements. Let's go to the pool. Let's do something and get involved. The other thing is, I try not to be a victim all the time.
Yeah.
My motto is try not to be a victim. And that's why it was kind of interesting to hear you say, you kind of had like a moment where you had to say it like, hey, I need to sit down and take a break, but it kind of made you feel really sad. Like, and I hate
Yeah.
when I have to do that as well. Most of the time I'm like, hey, see that door right there? The hand's going on it and we're going out. But I like the process of warming up on the old diesel engine out there that's got to warm up. So I need to
The
spend a
idol.
little more time. I need to idle a little more and spend some time doing that. But that's just some great points. But I spend a lot of my time really trying not to be a victim, even
Yeah.
though I know how beat up my body is. I know how hard it is. I wish I could run. I wish I could do a lot of things. I wish I could walk straight. I wish my ankle would align itself and not hurt to it's going up into my knee, up into my hip, and into my back. And I don't really want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. I try to ignore it, and I do for the most part. But I feel like it's sooner or later going to catch up with me, and it's going to be something that I got to sit down a lot more for, or I'm going to be on a cane at some point. I'm like, no, I don't want to take on that device yet. And I had to when I first got blown up for about a year and a half, but luckily I was able to get away from it for the last 10 years.
No, it's
Yeah.
two things that, man, two things that, and the second one, you just brought it up because I was literally talking with the trophy. That's what some of the viewers that we share. I call my wife the trophy because, I mean, I'm lucky that I won that trophy. So that's kind of like my pet name for
I
her.
call I call babies trophies, man. You got to score to get one.
Yeah, no shit. victimization is a beast, dude. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, who I've talked to about on my show, and I know I talked about it on yours. I mean, victimization. When we get into that that mindset, three things that are showstoppers for a human being: the body, the environment, and time. The body. Oh, I can't. My body's this. I ache here. I ache there. The environment. Oh, but I grew up in blah blah blah, or the Marine Corps, or this. And time. Oh, I just don't have time because blah blah. So, you can sum up victimization into those three things. So when I get into that mode, I got to look at myself. Hey, you're being a little bitch. I mean, it's, at the end of the day, that's what you're being is. Hey, you fucking got this. You're not the only motherfucker. And I think about you. I'm like, God damn, Chief was blown up twice. And my man is still here. I mean, it's like you don't gotta fucking, shut the fuck up and do your thing. You know what I'm saying? And and to kind of go making the Kane comment, dude. It was fun. This morning I'm having breakfast and I'm telling him, oh, I can't wait to get off this walker because I got my walker right here. I bought a cane in Africa when I got deployed to Africa around the same time that Saddam Hussein had moved his troops back to the border, of Kuwait. So we were moved there as a contingency force. Um, like
back in 94.
Yeah, fucking
Were
94.
you on the 11th MEU?
No, we were Joint Task Force. I forgot what it was called, but there were some guys from the Peleliu, some guys were in Mogadishu, in the mode. I was in fucking in that.
We were there on the Harpist Ferry, the Essex, and the Cleveland.
Yeah, the I remember. Shit, I just got goosebumps. Yeah, so we were in Mombasa, fucking, so everybody was getting all kinds of shit, swag and gear. Anyways, out of all the fucking things that I got was a fucking cane, pretty cool cane. It was like a snake and some dude. I think it's a dude sitting on a rock, but it looks like a dude taking a shit. So I'll send you a photo of this fucking.
Hey man, we're gonna interpret that one of two ways, but we want to take way number 2 and talk about it.
But it's funny that I had 30 years later, I'm about to use that cane, and I was like, man, I can't. And I was actually excited about, man, I can't wait to rock this fucking cane that I bought 30 years.
You're like, oh, finally, I bought something useful 20 years ago.
I don't
shoot. That was that was a lot longer than 20 years ago now, bro.
Yeah, it was fucking 29 years ago, dog.
Oh man.
And I'm all stoked about it. I'm like, man, I can't wait to rock this cane. And my wife is like, really, are you? So, but it's funny how life works, works to say it in the way it works. You know what I'm saying? We all come full circle at some point.
Well, shoot, man, we got about 2 more minutes, so 3 more minutes, but 2. Hey, if any last words you want to say, put it out there, and hey, it's been an absolute awesome show. Hey, oh man, we forgot to do the PSA, man. I forgot to jump into a PSA. You have to do PSAs too, man. Why didn't you stop me? Maybe we'll do one right now, and then we'll come back and we'll have like 5 more minutes if Brian is going to give that to us.
Okay.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Old Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
Nice. Hey, and I just want to put this out there. These PSAs come to us through the VA, come over to Brian. Our shows have been selected to host these things.
Yeah.
And the VA has its problems, but I'll say this: there's no other service, there's no other country that has a veteran program like ours to take advantage of and be involved
True.
in and get your care. The waits might be a little long. This might have all this, and that, but it's also tied to monetary benefits. So sometimes people are there just chopping at the bit to try to get those monetary benefits. I'm not going to say that a lot, but I don't know how many that is. But I'm just saying it probably exists, because the more jacked up you are, the more money you get. The VA is a good place to be able to get some stuff done. And if you take advantage of those systems and just take your time, put in the paperwork, go through the process, if you're trying to be your own doctor and diagnose yourself, it's not going to work out for you. But let the doctors do their part, but you got to do yours too. And I'm just going to put that out there, just because sometimes the VA gets a bad rap, but sometimes I want to think of it as more like the other countries don't have the VA. But hey, go ahead, Pancho. Finish it up, brother.
And just to add up to what you just said, again, and you could take advantage of the VA benefits as an expat yourself. Like I mentioned, I have an individual who's right now in Colombia, and there's a VA clinic right then and there that they take care of claims, disability compensation, anything and everything, not just there, but around the world. So you can't, no system is perfect. But no other country like, the great United States takes care of their veterans, like they do. Again, the system may not be perfect. However, I mean, it's something that's better than nothing. And so I'm very thankful for the VA, because they hooked me up one time many. So, but yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, if people can always reach out to me, and my show has a lot of cool information. If you want to be a guest on my show and just come on to talk shit, hey, I always look forward to having guests, and we can talk about just mundane stuff or talk about serious stuff. And also on the other side, if you're looking for new career fields, whether it may be in safety or learn about the finance industry, where you can learn about money, save money, get out of debt, and help others while helping yourself, and getting some state-sponsored licenses that we pay for, you can reach out to me on my show. You can send me a DM. I'm on LinkedIn as well. You can find me under Pacho_373 on Instagram. Facebook is just the Field Up. You can go in the Field Up and send me a message, or my personal account of Francisco Correa Hernandez. You killed my father, prepare to die. I'm just kidding. Remember that movie?
Yeah, and you can always hit me up, and I'll link you up with them, no problem too. So there's a lot of ways to get a hold of either of us in any shape or form. So, but hey, man, thanks a lot for being on my show. Much appreciation, brother.
Dude, I just want to say thanks once again. I wouldn't be. You, Scott Gilman. Scott Gilman saved my life a couple of times, but you re-energized me, and by my wife reaching out to you and Warrior Build, I was able to get back into a much better place. And obviously we'll throw Brian Colburn in the mix too. But I mean, thank you guys for allowing me and giving me this platform to be here today and to be part of your show, brother. So I mean, believe me, the thanks from the bottom of my heart is not enough.
Wow. Good journey, brother. Good journey. Hey, this is Combat Vet Vision. It's really meant for a lot of different reasons, a lot of different ways. It's not all about doom and gloom. It's not about this and that, but it's about getting something somewhere, somehow, from someone. And I'm gonna say something like my brother always says: I've been doing this for so long with so little that I can do almost anything with absolutely nothing, if I'm lucky and I have enough support. Strength and honor. This is Aaron Siebert, out.
Like the sun bidding goodbye.